In 1978, Hawaii's Constitutional Convention made a significant decision in defiance of HECO's monopoly and the importation of oil. Energy sources would be included in the state's public trust doctrine, alongside water, land, and other natural resources. This meant these resources were to be held in trust by the state for the benefit of present and future generations. While the foundation for the public trust has always been present in Native Hawaiian values and Aina stewardship, it was now codified in Hawaii's constitution. The Hawaii Supreme Court has extensively interpreted this public trust doctrine, but primarily for water and land resources, not energy. In key decisions like Waiahole 1, which addressed water diversion on Oahu, the court established that state agencies must actively protect public rights in these resources at every stage of planning and decision-making. For land resources, the Ching v. Case decision demonstrated that the state has an affirmative duty to monitor and protect trust lands, even when leased to third parties. The court held that simply being aware of potential issues without taking concrete investigative steps constitutes a breach of trust duty. Despite the clear intention of the 1978 Constitutional Convention to include and protect energy sources, courts continue to treat energy very differently from other protected resources. In 3 recent cases involving power purchase agreements, Onrei Gas Company, Onrei Maui Electric Company, and Onrei Hawaii Electric Light Company, the Supreme Court declined to apply the same rigorous public trust standards to energy resources. Instead, the court has ruled that the Public Utilities Commission should merely consider public trust principles as guidance unless the project poses a clear threat to other protected resources like air or water. In Kauai Springs versus Planning Commission, the Hawaii Supreme Court established that regulatory agencies evaluating use of water resources, such as the Public Utilities Commission, must place the burden on applicants to demonstrate no harm to protected resources, apply heightened scrutiny to private commercial uses, and operate with a presumption in favor of public use and resource protection. This framework should extend to the PUC's role as an energy regulator as they evaluate energy projects and procurement, but unfortunately it simply does not. The PUC must balance its statutory mandate to ensure reliable, affordable electricity with its constitutional duty to protect public trust resources. This means carefully scrutinizing not just individual projects, but also the cumulative impacts of Hawaii's energy system on cultural resources, environmental protection, and public benefit. Just as the Supreme Court found that water cannot be treated as purely economic commodity, electricity generation and transmission must be evaluated through the lens of the public trust. The convention specifically aimed to claim all energy sources as state property, particularly indigenous and renewable resources like geothermal, solar, and wind power. However, this vision remains largely unrealized in current energy policy and jurisprudence. Also, for context, the members of the convention use the word indigenous just to not mean imported. We have all these cases that talk about the public trust and say that it should be, that the PUC should apply it to energy sources, and then there's Kauai Springs is another case I looked at where they specifically outline this heightened scrutiny that the PUC should use for specifically water resources. So there are frameworks for PUC to look at energy sources through that lens, and they have been told by the courts that they should do so.
Sudden, we're not talking about energy resources that are only available on one plot of ground below the surfaces. We're talking about energy resources that are the wind or the sun, which everybody does have access to, and it's just a matter of having this institutional infrastructure that fosters that access and fosters the beneficial ownership of those resources. So I want to know just as much as you do. What does energy as part of the public trust really mean?
Because they do specifically mention like solar, wind, and they use the term indigenous a lot, as in not imported, because even back then, 50 years ago, they wanted to get off of imported oil. So yeah, very interesting to think about.
We're thinking about the confluence of factors that went into the 78 Concan. It can't have been lost on any of the delegates that were just coming out of the Arab oil crisis. Right? So fossil fuels, as you've pointed out, fossil fuels were actively seen as a problem in Hawaii in the 1970s. And I suspect that did color some of it, but how strongly, I don't know.
We were also fortunate enough to speak with Marty Townsend, a zealous policy advocate currently working for Earth Justice. We'll hear more from her later, but she also had some thoughts on using the public trust doctrine in this way.
I do love that you guys are going to be talking about how energy is a public trust resource. Like, how the hell can we, it's like profiting off of water. Why would we do that? So
Yeah.
It's like, so like thinking about, access to electricity as a basic, human right kind of a thing, like it's like it should be on par with access to water,
Mm-hmm.
clean water.
Hawaii faces an urgent need to transform its energy infrastructure. At 43 cents per kilowatt hour, more than 3 times the national average and 10 cents higher than the next most expensive state, Hawaii's electricity rates creates a disproportionate burden on low-income households. These households face an energy burden approximately 3 times higher than other households, often forcing difficult choices between electricity and other essential needs. This has also disproportionately affected Native Hawaiian families. The state has made significant progress through distributed solar adoption, with 35% of single-family homes on Oahu now having rooftop installations. However, this success has created new challenges. Without adequate storage capacity, the abundance of solar generation during daylight hours, coupled with evening peak demand, has created a significant price disparity between daytime and evening electricity rates. Hawaiian Electric's response, implementing time-of-use rates to encourage daytime usage, may disproportionately impact low-income families who have less flexibility in their schedules. Hawaiian Electric's integrated grid plan identifies 2 critical infrastructure needs to reach 100% renewable energy by 2045: major new renewable projects and expanded energy storage capacity. The utility estimates that reaching the renewable energy goal would also require at least 125,000 residential and commercial rooftop solar installations by 2030, in addition to these large-scale projects. The current approach to storage relies heavily on lithium-ion batteries, with at least 22 large-scale projects in various stages of development. However, Department of Energy data indicates more cost-effective alternatives exist. Compressed air energy storage costs approximately $119 per kilowatt hour, while pumped hydro storage runs about $262 per kilowatt hour, both significantly cheaper than lithium-ion systems at $356 to $399 per kilowatt hour. These alternative storage technologies could be crucial for managing the intermittent nature of renewable energy sources and ensuring reliable power during evening peak hours. One promising example of alternative storage comes from Kauai, where the island's utility cooperative has been developing a pumped hydro storage facility that would combine energy storage with agricultural irrigation benefits. However, this project also illustrates the complex challenges facing large-scale renewable infrastructure in Hawaii. In early 2024, after community groups raised concerns about the project's impact on the Waimea River watershed and cultural practices, the utility agreed to withdraw its environmental assessment and refocus on just the solar-powered pump storage portion of the project. As one community leader noted, our communities need to have a seat at the table and our voices heard so that these projects can contribute to our state's clean energy goals without jeopardizing our livelihoods and ways of life.
This tension between infrastructure needs and community values is not new to Hawaii. In the early 80s and 90s, a proposed geothermal energy development in Waiokele-Opuna aimed to transmit power to Oahu via undersea cable, similar to proposals today. The project faced fierce opposition from Native Hawaiians organized via the Pele Defense Fund, who viewed geothermal drilling as the desecration of Pele. Through legal action, peaceful protest, and alliance building, they not only halted the project, but also secured important legal precedents for Native Hawaiian gathering rights and cultural access. This history underscores how large infrastructure projects, even when technically sound, must align with cultural values to succeed. There are plenty of other examples of energy projects in Hawaii that are not culturally aligned. Additionally, HECO has a long history of placing both dirty and clean energy facilities near working class, rural, indigenous communities of color like the AES coal plant and the Kahe power plant in Kapolei and the Kahuku wind farm.
You all agree with me that the Hawaiians need electricity, need like just access to electricity for self-determination. How do we get there? I don't know. God, I don't know. That is the $1,000,000 question.
Well,
Like,
even beyond like the
yeah.
legal pathways, also kind of just thinking about like what role should Native Hawaiian perspectives and like things like that play in shaping future projects and things, because there's like clean energy initiatives, but they could
Hmm.
also clash with like with Native Hawaiian rights, which they often do.
Yeah. I mean, like, think about it in terms of like, yeah, see, there's something about the way you ask the question. Um, like, yes, absolutely. All public policy decisions about how resources are, shared or used in Hawaii should be rooted in the kind of Native Hawaiian life ways and mindsets. And like, imagine how differently a system you would build if you viewed the electrons falling from the sky as, part and parcel of, your grandparents and,
Mm.
your siblings, and you view the water as a a cousin, as a
Mm.
sibling, as you treat it much differently than when you view it just as a means to an end, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, like, when we say everyone should have access to clean water, right? And so we make an all system that conveniently delivers water to every household, um right, as opposed to the, like, whatever, Mr. Sneed, what is the name of the Onceler? Instead of the Onceler coming in and being like, all right, here, I'll make sure you all can have water. Here is a here's a plastic cup that you can come walk up to and get the and you have to get a new cup every time, and they're 5 cents each. Yeah, anyway, so like, my point is that, like, the first principles, right? The thing that found your whole approach on, that matters to what the
Mm.
outcome actually is. So yeah, and a government not formed um to make money,
Mm.
not formed on capitalism, I think they would have a much, more holistic approach than, what the American capitalist system has given so far. Right? Like, when you think about it from the perspective, you try to think about it from in the light most favorable to the exploiter, even if they had the best intentions, right? Like, when they're thinking about it, they're forming the Hawaiian Electric Company, and, like, at that point in time and that stage of people's thinking about economics, right? The best way to pool public resources for everyone to just, like, pitch in, microeconomic, micro loan style, we're all going to help each other kind of vibe, right? It was, making a company, and you all became shareholders, right? And, like, that was the way to do it. And they thought they were being super
Mm.
community rooted, that kind of thing, right?
Right.
And um it just, as over time, as that evolves, right, that concept grows into something that seems somehow like we can't live without it, right? It makes it
Mm-hmm.
self-essential, right? And you really, really think about it, it's not, because the first principles are about exploitation, right? It's about making
Mm.
money. It's not about, providing a basic life service. It's not about fulfilling, fundamental life ways, respecting, quote unquote, respecting the host culture. But anyway.
One key barrier to more culturally aligned energy development in Hawaii is Hawaii's ban on wheeling, which is the practice of allowing third-party generators to transmit energy over existing power lines. This restriction appears to be in a single clause in the Hawaii Revised Statutes, which states that nothing in this section shall be construed to permit wheeling. This small line effectively maintains HECO's monopoly control over electricity transmission, forcing all new generation projects to go through HECO as an intermediary. The legislature has attempted to remove or bypass this ban for several decades. Bills have consistently failed despite support from both political parties and evidence that over half of all states allow some form of retail wheeling. This past legislative session brought a wheeling bill as close to passing as one ever has, though the PUC's testimony that it could and would open a wheeling docket ultimately killed the bill and its language removing the wheeling ban from the revised statutes based on an unsubstantiated promise from the PUC.
Representative Nonishi, Leo Sunchen, Chair of the PUC, will stand on a written testimony in support of the measure and will be available for any questions that the committee may have.
Thank you.
I understand the commitment that you could do it.
Yeah.
Will you make that effort to actually open a docket? And I know in your testimony you said that 2026 would be reasonable, a time frame for you to report to the legislature.
Yeah, we could do that. You'll have my commitment right now that we will open a docket.
Here, given the discussion with the PUC chair, we will defer this measure for the time being.
my understanding is that bill failed because of this promise by the PUC. Do you think that the PUC can implement those kind of things without having that kind of physical change in the statute, or how do you view wheeling in general? I guess.
It'd be interesting to see where that language I've tracked some of that language in the statute and to understand where it came from. And we can see where it comes from in a time sense. It's hard to see where it comes from in a philosophical sense. Like, why did somebody feel like we needed that language? It's an example of extraordinarily poor legislative drafting because it states it in the there's nothing in the statute that says wheeling is not permitted.
Right.
It just says none of these things shall be construed to permit wheeling. So by inference, you can say, oh, wheeling is not allowed. PUC chair apparently believes that since the statute doesn't say wheeling is not allowed, that they can't allow it. I think that's probably true. I also think that so much of this ties right back to your first question about how does the history in the 1890s matter here in 2024?
Yeah.
What the question we're really asking is, can electricity consumers and producers get a sense of self-determination in where and how that energy is both produced and then used?
Yeah.
And sometimes that self-determination can be in the traditional sense. It can be about a community of people who are tied by some bond, right? Maybe that bond is that they have ancestors in Hawaii that predate 1778. Can that community make its own decisions? It would bother me greatly if some sort of backwards, not really clearly articulated statutory provision was used to override something as fundamental as self-determination, whether it's Native Hawaiian self-determination or self-determination for other communities, right? We know the folks in Oahu Energy Cooperative are not all Native Hawaiian.
Right.
I just have a hard time seeing that this fundamental concept of self-determination gets beaten by a backwards throwaway line in the statute. The problem with the chair's comments, if we take them at face value, is if the PUC believes they can authorize wheeling, but they haven't. They haven't for
They've opened
many,
several
many
dockets
decades.
over
Yeah,
the years,
exactly.
and none of those dockets have gone anywhere because of this. But
exactly, the dockets have just died out. It's not as if a decision has ever been made.
Right.
It sort of dies out in the face of uncertainty where we're not sure if wheeling is allowed or not. That suggests you do need statutory change, just for clarity, not as an action forcing item, but just so you can't have one of these dockets peter out simply because people will disagree about what the state of the law is.
Yeah, exactly. Which is so frustrating to see them kill that bill just because they don't want to change HRS. And yeah, very cool. For a concept that to everybody accepting electric utility seems like it is not that controversial, right? The idea that one party might be able to move electricity over the utilities wires to another party seems totally natural to everybody I've ever spoken to about it, literally. Yeah.
Electric utilities are just deathly afraid that it erodes the barrier to entry, I guess, in this utility market.
Yeah.
And that shows us that people are tied to the existing regulated utility structure, as opposed to being open to what are the new ideas, what are the ideas that work better engineering-wise, economically, from a community perspective, environmentally, right? What are these ideas we could put together? And maybe the structure would be different. Where does that structure come from? A regulated utility comes from 1890.
Yeah.
It means that we are beholden to this. We're beholden to the chair of the PUC and the CEO of the electric utility, which sounds a whole lot like being beholden to Lauren Thurston and whichever of the four founders of Hawaiian Electric you want. Nothing's changed. Yeah.
Two people and an arbitrary statute are what stands between us and self-determination.
The prior chair of the PUC, Mina Morita, used to say quite loudly and frequently that wheeling is not permitted.
Mm-hmm.
So her interpretation of the statute was different than the current chair's interpretation of the statute.
This intersection of monopoly control and cultural conflict is not coincidental. The same colonial legacy that established HECO's control over Hawaii's grid also displaced Native Hawaiian relationships with natural resources. Just as wheeling could open the grid to community-owned projects, proper recognition of cultural values could lead to energy development that enhances rather than diminishes Native Hawaiian self-determination. It is critical for Native Hawaiians to engage with these issues not just as opponents of harmful projects, but as champions of alternatives that align with cultural values and advance self-determination. The public trust doctrine provides legal tools to ensure energy development serves public rather than purely private interests. Removing the wheeling ban would create practical opportunities for communities to develop their own energy projects. Together, these frameworks could support an energy transition that honors rather than sacrifices Hawaii's cultural heritage. The path to 100% renewable energy requires both large-scale projects and distributed community-owned generation and storage. Success depends not just on technological solutions, but on restructuring who controls and benefits from Hawaii's energy system. By understanding these intersecting issues of monopoly power, cultural values, and self-determination, Big and Little N Native Hawaiians can help lead an energy transition that strengthens rather than undermines their sovereignty and relationship to the land.